So here's the thing. When you do a show like this, you make friends, you make a lot of guests who become part of your life, become, one of those people that you root for. And in this particular case, this young man who we have on today's show, we've rooted for him. But I feel like him winning combat jiu-jitsu is a betrayal of our trust. And we'll get to that when I talk to him in a second. But the thing is, for years, it would be like, oh, well, I don't think I would ever do that. And, of course, things change. So if you guys are at all interested in hearing me air some beef, if you want to call it that, publicly, don't go anywhere because you're watching The Grappling Hour. Ladies and gents, what can I say about our guest? He is beloved. He is somebody who's been on our show previously, as well as Verbal Tap. He's ingrained as a large part of our show. The thing that I think I alluded to in the cold open here is the fact that, yes, he is somebody who, for years, has an incredible investment in jiu-jitsu. He's been doing it since he was, basically a boss baby himself. But the thing that's interesting about this young man is the fact that now he's won a combat jiu-jitsu championship, which I feel means I should treat him like an adult. The problem is he's still a kid to me. But to many of you, he's a very dangerous kid. So ladies and gents, I am very happy to welcome onto the show and welcome back with a hero's welcome, one Keith Krikorian, your new combat jiu-jitsu champion. Keith, how are you doing, sir? Keith, you are frozen. This is not working very well. I think you're going to have to come back in just a second. I'm so glad that the shot I have of Keith, I think that's it. Are you there, Keith? I see a thumb in front of the camera. I think this tells me you're somewhat able to see. Nope, now I see part of your house. Are you there, Keith? No, it's upside down. Don't make it upside down, Keith. Of course, this is the only way he's going to make it onto the show. Keith, where are you? Okay, I think he's sharing the show, so we'll give him a second to figure that out. Oh, he had to go. Okay. Keith will be back momentarily. I do see him in the shots. I just need to make sure that his Skype is not just completely muted all the way through. In the meantime, I want to remind you guys, if you like our show, go ahead and give us a like and a share. We are in the process of doing our big push to get more and more subscribers for the month of December, so that way we lead into the new year with some great stuff. I see Keith back on the show. Keith, are you okay? My God, little man, I do not hear you right now. For whatever reason, your audio is off. Did you mute yourself? Did I mute you? Okay. Keith, we're going to end this call. I'm going to call you back in a second, okay? Yep, that's the, oh God, this is like a silent film that nobody asked to see. All right, so Keith is going to be back on momentarily. My apologies to all of you who are tuning in live. That's how you know this shit's live, is that we're basically fixing things as we go. But in a moment, we should be able to see Keith being pulled in.
Sorry.
You're okay. I do hear Keith, which means I can now pull him onto the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, with the hero's welcome, one Keith Krikorian. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Sorry about that. I was trying to help. I was trying to share the thing, and then I just like exited the app, and I think it may have caused some problems. So.
It might have, but you're here. Hey, okay. So you might have heard in the cold open that I was saying we have beef, and the beef is I feel like you were the kid that always said, I will probably not do combat jiu-jitsu. Not that you would turn it down, but just that you didn't really see it was going to be something that was going to happen in your future. Am I misreporting that? Is that something at all you remember saying with me?
It sounds like something I would have said at one point, for sure.
So then what changes your mind to go like, yeah, okay, I'm at the place now where I'm good with combat jiu-jitsu?
I think it just grows on, it's grown on everyone, you know? And I was like starting to see the guys that were doing it. And I was kind of, I was more and more impressed with like the talent that they were putting on there. And I thought, well, it's not just like a bunch of MMA guys anymore. It's like starting to be a lot of jiu-jitsu guys. So I felt like I could slide in there and kind of fit in a little bit, you know, but before it was basically just MMA guys and JM, you know? So like, I think MMA or JM actually fought MMA, but you know what I mean? Like it was mostly MMA guys, and that's like just scary. It's like, yeah, do you want to just like go fight multiple MMA guys in a night and like, you know, probably get put on bottom and get hit a bunch? It's not very appealing. So once they started adding more jiu-jitsu guys and like good jiu-jitsu guys, I was thinking it was more something that I could see myself doing, you know?
I mean, you looked just fine in the format. And I think what's happened is maybe I'm overstepping what I've seen throughout the years, but I feel like your jiu-jitsu has improved to the point where you kind of realized how you can make it work for you. I think everybody has a different journey in their combat jiu-jitsu experience, but I think you looked at it and you said like, you know what? I want to see if I can do it. And I'm kind of interested in that. And they had you test out the waters by having a special match at one of the last combat jiu-jitsu matches. So at that point, did you already see the next step was going to be entering a tournament, or were you still just like, maybe it's a one-off?
Yeah, I thought it was a one-off mostly just because like I think Eddie was kind of just throwing me a bone there. He was just like doing me a favor because I remember I think he felt bad for me because I did the qualifiers when like I probably like, not that I shouldn't have had to or whatever, but like there was really no reason for me to do it. And I remember I like confessed to him that like right before the tournament I was like, yeah man, like I'm just like super beat up and tired, and like I was like I had like a pretty significant knee injury at the time, and then I was just like, but I'm here, you know, so I'll do it. And then I ended up losing like 30 seconds, and I think he was kind of just like, like let's get this guy like you know, something. So he got me a one-off, and that's literally I just thought he was doing me a favor, you know, and it was cool and I appreciated it, but I didn't think anything else was gonna come of it. And then he just texted me like a few months ago, and he was like, hey, Kevin Burbridge is the 10 Planet representative for combat, but Kevin is, I don't know if you've seen Kevin lately. He's much larger than he was when he did 145. So not in a bad way. Like he's huge and like in a good way, like yoked. So he couldn't make the weight anymore, and they needed someone. So I obviously hopped on it just because it's a pretty good opportunity. And same thing I said earlier, like now it's to the point where like I see a lot of jiu-jitsu guys doing it and having fun, and seemed like something I wanted to do. So
yeah, okay. You touched on Kevin cutting down. That cut to me, the fact that it went on for as long as it did was truly something that you could appreciate Kevin for. But I always remembered thinking, oh my God, you don't have to. Like, I know it's probably a structural advantage, but I've seen Kevin compete at weight classes that are much higher. And it always baffled me that he was able to compete at that weight class. So I understand and I get it, but I'm glad that you were able to find your way into it because, again, to me, I think, and I want to hark back to that conversation that we had years ago, which is you were looking at it in terms of at that point in your life, it wasn't going to be something you were going to do. But now I think you have evolved as a grappler. I think that when you become a black belt as well, there are new challenges that you really have to take on. And I feel like you're probably at this point where you said, oh, this is definitely a new challenge. And if we're being fully honest, and I think we talked about this in person, but the first time you slapped somebody at that special match, I was like, oh man, this is the Anakin story now. Like, this is him killing some younglings. So I don't know if we're going to see Keith's ascent or descent into Darth Vader territory.
It was yeah, it's funny because I was like in a pretty like, just not to get too personal or anything, I was in a pretty bad spiritual player, personal place when I like took that match, and I think I like feel bad for the guy, took out some aggression in that match, and it easily, like, I feel like it easily could have gone into like a worse like spiral after that, imagine I tried, take a career shift into like MMA and then just like start going that path. That probably could be pretty bad, but instead I think I got all my like aggression out, or like, pent up energy out in that match, and cooled off a little bit after that. And then now it's like, okay, I don't really want to slap anyone anymore. I think just submitting people is fine. and so if anything, that match kind of like told me like, all right, it's like slapping people, it just does. I had like some crazy guilt after that too. I was like, man, it just does not feel good to beat someone up. Like it's like it's a similar feeling I had when I got in like my first fist fight when I was in like 5th grade or something. I was just like, this feels bad. Like we're both crying after, like we're both like just like sniffling and the teacher's like, all right, say sorry to each other. It's basically what that combat match was. Like it was like kind of sad. So at that point I was like, yeah, I don't really want to hit anyone anymore. So I threw a few strikes in this past one. But it was mostly out of frustration. Like I went in going like, don't hit anyone at all. I didn't want to slap anyone because it's like, it's, energy consuming. It's like kind of inefficient. Like it's not really gonna, get you much. But then there was some certain points where I like needed someone to open up, or I was like, couldn't pass someone's guard. Or I was just like, and like I figured 1 or 2 wouldn't waste too much energy, or I couldn't like, I think I was on someone's back and I like couldn't sub them, so I was just like lightly slapping their face to like move their arm a little. Anyway, so yeah, I kind of took like a shift in strategy, I guess.
So I want to point this out because I feel like you're maybe being a little too hard on yourself in one respect, which is you do know that the other person signs on to combat jiu-jitsu knowing full well they are going to slap you. And yet you're the one that feels bad about it. Like after the fact, they have equal opportunity to slap you back in that special match. And I understand you're probably saying like, man, I was going through a rough time. I have maybe a breaking headline for you. I think 70% of combat jiu-jitsu's highlights are through things going bad for whoever those folks are in their outside lives.
Yeah.
So I
Do
don't
that.
think you're alone in that fact. And if anything, I'm pretty sure they're kind of like, yo, can you bring some of your therapy needing self to this? Because we'll take it for the highlights.
Yeah. The more pent up aggression, the better.
Absolutely. It makes for good highlights. But you did
Yeah.
mention something that I did want to talk about, because we'll go into a little bit more of the breakdowns of your individual matches. But
Mhm.
there was a moment, and I did see you kind of slapping, because he said, like, all right, well, I got to do it now because I want to have a result that is beneficial to me. It's going to be a long night. But there was, I think, a distinct moment where you might have been in mount, you went to slap, and then you kind of lost a position. And then you were like, oh, fuck this too. Because you just go, I'm going back to jiu-jitsu. Because for a split second, you could see the Anakin starting to creep in. And then you just kind of saw that the dude got into a better position. And you go, all right, screw this. Back to pressure. Back to making life miserable here. Is that something that had crossed your mind when you were competing there?
Yeah, I don't think I don't remember what match it was, but I know the moment you're talking about. I don't remember who I was going against, but I think I was in a spot where like I was in a good spot, but I just needed the person to move a little bit, and so I like threw a couple just to get them to move, but then they like kind of overreacted and got in a better position, like on me, like got on top or something, and then I was like, oh shit, and then like maybe don't slap anymore to like advanced position, because it might make someone overreact and like overcompensate and you know and get out. So I think that's what happened, and I think it might have happened a few times too. So I was like damn it. And my going in, I was like, man, only slap if you absolutely have like the position locked down, and then just in the heat of the match, you're just you don't remember. I guess I didn't remember all the conversations I had with myself before.
Well, I think you're trying to go the Tom Halpin, no, I want to let my jiu-jitsu carry me. That's what got me here sort of approach. And there is kind of a spiritual monk appreciation for that. The hard reality is that at some point, I'll put it this way. Everybody knows my shell defense. You know it. But I also am not blind to the fact that if people could slap me, they would utilize that, and it would be very beneficial to them for that specific type of rule set. So I kind of get it. But yeah, I've had many people tell me, they're like, if you did MMA. And I'm like, do I look like I'm doing MMA? Like, I'm aware of what my shtick is, so you don't need to tell me yes or no.
It's funny that, because I think you alluded to the conversation we had back in the day about combat, and I think like probably when we talked, I was probably still at that point in my like career and my like skill level where I was just good enough to like survive and then like win in overtime, and that's just like not a good strategy for jiu-jitsu. That, or for combat jiu-jitsu rather. So like exactly what you're saying, like the shell defense just wouldn't work. So like that could have been also another factor in why I shied away when we talked. I was probably at that purple belt level where you're just like, all right, I can do pretty well against like some guys, like purple belts mostly, maybe some low level brown belts, but like as soon as I go against a black belt, I'm basically gonna hope that I make it to overtime. And that is not a great strategy for combat. So yeah, to your point about the shell defense, like that's it's probably just a little less reliable in CJJ.
Listen, dude, again, I get it. It's definitely a different type of jiu-jitsu. It's one that I wouldn't recommend for old people, but I would tell you that it does provoke some interesting responses. So again, we'll get to your individual matches beforehand, but you had some stuff that you posted on your Instagram in terms of the weight cut. So you mentioned in the middle of the weight cut. So let's kind of work our way towards travel, because
This is a funny stuff.
I do want to make sure that we highlight this, but just in case people aren't aware of some of the atrocities that you've gone through for traveling in the past month or so. But when you went to Grapple Fest, you barely made it there. and
Mm.
had one of the worst travel experiences I think a grappler can have as a
Yeah.
professional. And not only that, but then it was so bad toward the end of the match. The commentators even had to recognize, and they're like, well, big ups to the Rotolo, but also Keith did have to go through this travel, and that sucked. And I go, that's when you know something significant. When they go, don't even talk about the match right now. This poor man, it barely got here. So it told me, I was like, yeah, this has been a very, very popular story. But yes, tell us a little bit about the travel, and then I guess going into the weight cut for this specific event.
Yeah, yeah. So for the Rotulo match, I had like that. I had a canceled flight. I had and like an overnight flight, or sorry, a delayed overnight flight the next day. They had like shuttle me to to a different airport like a few hours away. All this stuff, right? And I showed up like a few hours before the match. And that was just like, it was so terrible. And I was thinking like, man, I never want to go through that again. And then this past time, like it was like I showed up to the airport and it was so packed, and I was just like, there's a very good chance that this exact same thing happens again. How did I not learn? And then it got flight got delayed. Like it was just like a pain in the ass to get through everything, all that stuff. So it was like it was still pretty bad, but it wasn't as bad as the Liverpool thing. So it was whatever. Flight got delayed. I get there. I like the taxi drops me off at the wrong place. I go to the hotel. I had like a spa appointment to get into a sauna. I missed that because the flight got delayed and the taxi dropped me off in the wrong place and stuff. So then I was like, all right, how am I gonna cut weight? There was like a gym in the hotel. I was probably like 4 or 5 pounds off. So I was like, all right, shouldn't be like too bad. I could just throw a sauna. I had a sauna suit. So I was like, I'll throw the suit on and then I'll just like book some cardio. I go, this is like, it's middle of the night. I go down and it's like, the hours were from like, 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. And I was like, okay, well, it's probably not supposed to be here, but, hopefully no one comes up. I'm in there for like an hour or so. And then, there's just sweat all over the place. I'm bouncing from like cardio machine to cardio machine. I'm like draining my sauna suit, just like flinging sweat all over the place. I brought like a comforter down to like wrap myself up in. And I'm at the like later stage of the wake up. I'm like just doing like a wrap session, the comforter, right? And I have my beanie on, I'm like all Vaselined up. I'm sweaty, I'm, like wrapped in plastics. And then I like hear the door open. I was like, oh, it's probably another guy cutting weight. It was a security guard, and he like does not speak any English. He just like stares at me, and he is probably trying to piece it together in his mind. But like he has most likely never seen this in his life. He has nothing to relate. A person like sweat soaked and like basically looks like he's sleeping in a gym on a gym floor. He comes in. He was just like. He points to his watch or his wrist and to indicate that like they're closed or whatever. And I was like, I was trying to like explain in like through any form of communication that I could that like I was trying to lose weight and like cut weight, and he just like didn't even. I don't even think he wasn't even trying to listen. He was just staring at like the sweat puddles on the ground and like looking like, who's gonna clean this up? And he's like, it's probably gonna be me. And then like and then he like was saying that, and then it finally got to the point where I was like, all right. I look at my phone. I was like, I got 10 minutes on this like the 30-minute timer of like me being burritoed in that comforter left. So I was like, man, just 10 more minutes. I just hold up 10 fingers, and then he's like, all right. And he just like walks out. He didn't say like a word. And then he just like walks out, and then like he comes back in 10 minutes later, and I'm like I'm like in my boxers, like just like trying to like dry off and like clean up and everything. And then I was just like, I'm not even gonna try to explain any of this. Like I'm just gonna head out. And yeah, so luckily I got the weight off in time, like before he kicked me out or whatever. Otherwise it would have been awkward because I would have had to go back down and like he probably would have come back up and be like, bro, what the hell? I told you to get out of here. So it kind of worked out, but yeah, it was just funny because like he had no normal person like understands weight cutting, and especially not like a working class like Mexican security guard. He's not gonna understand what a guy would like in my situation would be doing. So it was kind of silly, but yeah, I got the weight off and stuff, and it was fine. But it was just a comedy of errors.
I'm just so glad that you had to sit there and be like, "Hello, senor.
Yeah, that's
5 pounds.
the hell Cinco.
Menos. I don't know how to tell you, guy. I mean, it is kind of weird. I'm sure from his perspective, I would love to interview him and get his side at some point, because I'm pretty sure he probably figured you were doing a weight cut. I just think he probably saw the look on your face, because the photo you put on your Instagram stories was enough for me to go, yeah, I'd make fun of this kid too. I'd probably give him some hassle. But of course, things work out good. You obviously make weight, but part of your pre-rituals, is this an actual thing that you continuously do? Does the Boss Baby movie make its way into your regular I'm gonna go compete? Because a lot of people have different pre-workout or pre-game kind of superstitions or things that they do that pump them up, whether it's music, aggressive, heavy metal. Yours is an animated child's film?
Yeah, it's funny because like I was telling Boogie, like at night I always I like watching like more actiony stuff, you know, but during the day I can't watch anything serious. It has to be cartoons. Like anything I watch has to be cartoons. It just like it's probably just been ingrained in me since I was a kid, and like Saturday morning cartoons and stuff. But I just like, for whatever reason, until like 5 p.m. I can't watch any live action stuff. So like I only go to like, I only flip between Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, like HBO Family. And it just so happened the Boss Baby was on, and it was like halfway through the movie too. So it was like pretty perfect. So I got to finish the movie, take a nap, and then go to combat jiu-jitsu. It worked out pretty well, you know? But yeah, I think it was most likely fate, I'd say. But all these years later comes creeping back into my life.
I didn't know if that was a regular occurrence, because you just go, oh, of course it's on. And I thought to myself, I said, I know you like that movie. And I know you actually, like, it's not a bit. I know you actually like that movie, which fine, no problem. But then I started thinking, wait, does he do that beforehand? Because if you do, okay. And now that we've obviously seen what it does for you, if it's not part of your routine, I mean, I think that's your superstition. Those are your lucky socks. I think that's what you got to start doing now.
Maybe. It's funny because I do have it on my phone. It's like it's one of 2 movies I've ever like, okay, I'm incriminating myself, but it's one of 2 movies I've ever like purchased on a mobile device. I have other methods of obtaining free movies.
Of course.
But there's only 2 that I've bought. So I bought Boss Baby, and I bought the movie Parasite. And one time I was giving Art wanted to watch Parasite, so I gave him my YouTube login, because it's like how I bought them, or how I bought the movie. And then he logs in. He sends me a screenshot. He's like, the only 2 movies you've ever bought. Boss Baby and Parasite. How? I'm not surprised at all. And it was really funny. So I do have it on my phone, and I do have the ability to watch. Maybe that should just be a thing from now on. But yeah, it's so funny. I could watch that movie like any number of times and still find it funny.
Good for you. And you know what? I'm happy for you. I think that's a good. Everybody has to have their own specialized thing. And Parasite, legit amazing. So I'm not going to give you any problem there. I love that movie too.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into the thick of it. You start your day off pretty well with the heel hook in your first round. What do you remember specifically from your first match at Combat Jiu-Jitsu from this weekend?
I remember being pretty tired, like just because that's your first match after the weight cut. I did a warm up, but it was like kind of half-assed, you know, because I was still kind of full from like just eating all day. And I think if you don't do like a hard warm up, then your first match is going to be your warm up, and like you might crash. So I remember like he was pretty tough, you know. I knew he wasn't like the best guy in the bracket, but I knew he was like pretty tough or whatever. And I just like halfway through, I was just really close to puking. And and I didn't want to leg lock him. I didn't really want to leg lock anyone unless I absolutely had to. Because like sometimes it's just like it's a good fail safe, you know. But like it got to the point where I was like, all right, I'm like trying to get this guy to open up, you know. I'm dying. I think I'm gonna throw up. I'm like I was like hitting him in the ribs to like get him to like, you know, turn, like expose his shoulders a little bit, and he just wouldn't move. He's just like an MMA guy. I think he's just tough. And and so I was like, all right, I got to make something happen. So I kind of like he's like moving under me, and I just he like kind of grabbed my leg, so I stepped over to get to the leg, and then I was just like, he's flip flopping his foot, and I was like, get fucking come here, and then I like finally get under the heel. But it was not the ideal first match. Like, it was not how I wanted to start, but it was enough to like get my first win out of the way, you know.
I suppose I should ask, but you said that you weren't really looking to heel hook people. Were you looking to challenge yourself in a different way, or did you just have a certain style or approach that you were looking to implement instead?
Yeah, I just think for CJJ, it's not as wise to just be heel hook focused. You know, for a guy like Jordan Holy made it work. You know, but I think he has just like more like dangerous finishing than I do. Like I got to kind of work through some leg positions. You know, he'll latch on and finish you pretty quick. You know, so he's not as in a big of danger of like getting hit as I am. You know, and I felt like the CJJ route for me was more likely to get on top and work for chokes and stuff. So so that was my thinking. But I was thinking on most guys, I would maybe be able to enter legs and stuff, but it just wasn't where I wanted to be, I guess, just for the sake of like getting hit. So, or not getting hit. So, that, I guess that's why. Yeah. I used to like back in the day, I used to like try to challenge myself and not leg lock guys. Now people are so good at leg locks. It's like, nah, I mean, if I can, I will, you know? But CJJ is a little bit different. So anyways, that's maybe all over the place, but that's kind of my thinking for that.
Understandable. And I mean, it sounds like you were looking at the playing field of matches, and you said, oh, by and large, leg locks don't seem to work, or they may not work for you under this rule set.
Yeah.
So why not try a few other things? And that becomes very much into play with one of our mutual friends, Senor Duck, on the second match, because I'll tell you this much. He's a very good competitor. I just know how you work when you get that that chain that you put together. Because once I started seeing you attack that back, I said, man, that's going to be really rough, especially when you have that sort of focus that you do when you say, like, I really want to finish this now because I don't want to go anymore. Like, the faster I can get out of here, the better it is.
Yeah. I've had matches, a lot of matches with Austin, and like, sometimes it's just like I'm not very urgent, you know. And and with anyone, like if I'm not too urgent, like I take my time. It's, you know, it'll go a little bit, but like as soon as I kind of tell myself, you got to get out of here, like, you know, you don't want to, especially in CJJ, you don't want to like mess around, get slapped and stuff. I can usually turn it on and like just kind of like tell myself to finish it quick, you know. And that was kind of my mindset with that, is like, you know, don't, because I've seen his match with like Zack Schneider, and they had like kind of like a crazy war with like a million slaps being thrown on either end, and I did not have the energy to get into that type of exchange with someone. So I was just I was staying a lot tighter than normal, you know, and the goal was to get to a front headlock, and then he shot, which was like perfect. You know, I was anticipating having to like fake shot head snap and then get to the front head, you know, which is a little bit risky, but like someone shooting is perfect, you know. So he shot, got to the front head, and then like for a second, you know, you consider going to like some front head attacks, and then you're like, it's probably safer if I just swing around to the back. So he stood up, and then I was like, okay, yeah, definitely get to the back. And then just kind of flipped around, just followed him, you know. We've been in that exact same like situation before. In our previous match, was like a year ago, and I knew that like once I got there, I could probably finish, you know. But it was about getting there. So anyways, yeah, that kind of worked out. according to strategy.
It did. And, props to you on that one. I did want to mention this. So we get to the semis. Before I ask you about this match, how much are you surveying? I know you're a pretty good student, but it's around this time that I really started to take a look at, all right, this is who's probably going to be in these next advancing rounds. Like, this is when I start to pick up, like, oh, this guy's got momentum, or this guy's kind of dangerous in this spot. I'm sure you're probably doing the same. And it makes no secret, because I thought that day, Anderson, he looked really good. Like, I was very pleased with how he was looking. I know that you very nicely pointed out how good that Jordan looked that day too. So people were starting to emerge that you go, oh, okay. And then of course there's Chris that you go, yeah, we'll probably see him too.
Yeah. I mean, I watch everyone's matches. Like, even if I don't think they're going to be a guy that makes it, I still watch it. Like, I was watching Diego Lopez and Zach, and I assumed Diego would win. And I was mainly watching him, and I was kind of like I said, we're just watching him really. But then Zach beat him really, really quick, and I was like, okay, it's a good thing that I was watching, but I probably should have been paying a little more attention to Zach too. So it's a good lesson for me. But I watch everyone. When you're kind of looking at the whole bracket, like it's pretty nerve wracking, and you're kind of like, fuck, all these guys are so good. I don't know who. You don't really know who's going to make it, and a lot of times, sometimes you're pretty certain this guy's going to win, right? But a lot of times you don't. As the bracket goes on, and like as the tournament goes on and guys get eliminated, I feel a lot more comfortable, because I'm like, okay, now I don't have to like guess anymore. Now I know, and now I can really start planning. So I was watching Laird pretty much, since his first match, but then even, as soon as he was entering the overtimes with Ben, and it looked like he had the advantage, I was switching from watching Ben. I was only watching, they're thinking about Laird. I was just thinking like, okay, how do I combat this? So, like I said, as the tournament goes on, like I just know a little bit better about, I feel a little better about the, but I feel less anxious, because there's not as many wild cards, et cetera. So yeah, that was kind of the thing. The match was kind of how I expected. I mean, Laird's cool to compete against. Laird and Elias are really cool to compete against, because they move so well. Like, they make both of you look really good, because like you both look pretty fluid. Sometimes you compete against like an awkward guy, and it makes you look more awkward. And you're like, bro, this is like, stop, you're making me look bad. Laird is the exact opposite. He's so smooth and fluid that he kind of like brings that out of you. So that was cool. But there was like one point where I was getting a little too comfortable on the bottom, and he gave me like just like a good palm to the face, and I was like, fuck, I forgot we could do that, because I hadn't really like hit anyone really I hadn't really been hit the entire night. So I was like, oh shit, I forgot that's like a thing too. So I like, right as he did that, I like it snapped some like urgency in me. And luckily I think he was like pretty tired, because he had just had a match with like a pretty tough few matches with David and Ben. And he had like some travel delays as well, so he didn't even get in. He had a very similar experience that I did in Liverpool, so he didn't get in until about 2 p.m. I think. I was telling him like, I was trying to tell people like, or whoever was in charge, like, don't make him weigh in, like just let him compete. I don't care if let him rehydrate now. But he made the weight, like and he's pretty big, so like I'm sure it was tough. So all that going against him, I knew like, he was going to get tired a lot quicker than I would. So like pushing the pace, especially after getting hit in the face, was a huge part of my game. And then as soon as I got to his back, with the arm trapped, I just figured, don't lose this, and then, and then like when he went out, I was just like, yeah, that tracks. He's pretty tough. Like, that didn't really surprise me that he was going to be tough to put out. So, props to him though. 'Cause like that was a really good showing, I think, for considering the circumstances, his weight cut, his travel delays, and the fact that he's like he's been around for a long time, but this is like the first time I think he's had like a really notable performance on the big stage, but I've trained him a bunch, and like him and Elias, and I know how good they are, but I don't think they get as much credit as they should. just because they haven't gotten as many opportunities as they should. But I think they're as good as anyone in the world. Like I was telling Elias, like this time last year when we had a match at Ultimate Mountain Warriors, and we went out, we trained, we hung out the next day, and I was telling him like, bro, I like think that you're like top 5 in the world right now, but like no one probably knows that, you know.
Yep.
And now I think that people are starting to notice like, yeah, these two are really, really good, and like as good as anyone. And they're starting to like get the opportunities and like, you know, perform on the bigger stages, which I think is pretty great, you know. So I was really happy to see Laird do well. I was bummed to have to, you know, go against him, or like not that have to go against him, you know, whatever, but like have to really try to beat him. But I was happy to see him and Elias like have good performances that night, you know.
Absolutely.
And finally start to break out because they're so talented.
Well, it's part of the reason why when I do watch, obviously I always put an invitation out to those who win these things, but I do make special notes on people who stand out to me. So
Yeah.
it dates back all the way to EBI, where I'd be like, yeah, I obviously would interview the champion, but if I was there and I saw somebody, you know, your Josh Hayden's, your people who had an impressive turnout, I'd be like, come talk to me. And they'd be like, why? I didn't win. I was like, right, but I don't think you understood what you did.
Yeah.
I thought that was what happened with Laird that night, where I go, nah, without winning, he did have a win, because from what I could see, it was like, dude, he was a tough match. And I think his overtime performance was nothing short of epic and amazing to watch. So I definitely wanted to make sure that we gave him props. And speaking of giving props, look at this. We're about to transition to getting into the final. And this is something that I have to say that I appreciate. In the comment section here, Holy Grail himself, when Jordan says, hey, is that Keith Krikorian? Now, here's what I like about the two of you, is that Jordan, obviously very tough competitor, you tough competitor. You put up a very nice post about him that said, yo, he was on fire, which absolutely true. But then when I put up a post about you, made sure to like that one. And the thing about that is, if you're the person who lost, there's no reason you have to like that post. That post is basically saying like, look, Keith's great, which the flip side of that is always like, well, fuck the other guy. But that's not necessarily the point of it. I like you. I like Jordan. I like you guys just great. The problem is that anybody could take that bad. And I like the fact that you guys have a healthy competitive nature within you, where obviously you won. And the first thing it seemed like that went through your brain was, damn, Jordan's great. And then you could kind of celebrate it. Like you wanted to make sure that you were paying homage and respect to a very solid competitor. So having said that, do you mind walking us through that match?
Yeah, no problem. I mean, yeah, I definitely feel the same way I was talking about Laird and Elias. Like I feel the same way about Jordan, you know, so good and so talented and so hardworking, but just hasn't gotten as many opportunities. Jordan maybe a little bit more. He's been on the circuit for a little bit longer, but like still, or maybe not longer, but just like, you know, just a few bigger stages recently, but he still doesn't give the credit he deserves. And I think he's as good as anyone. And like, I don't think anyone really knows how good he is, but I was happy to see him have like such good performance that night. But yeah, so anyways, going into the match, you know, I just kind of had to like let our friendship kind of go, or not friendship, but like, let our like, just kind of like let go of like the kind of like, you know, connection that we have, you know, cause I feel like I consider him a very good friend, you know, and, like a healthy rival and stuff. But I also recognize how good he is and how dangerous he is and how much that, you know, he probably wants to beat me as much as I want to beat him, you know, and, right off the bat, you know, I like, I made sure to kind of, you know, snap myself out of our, you know, friendship or whatever. So, we go into the match and like, you know, right off the bat, I noticed that his like guard is just like, his leg locks are really, really dangerous. He entered on a few right off the, like, you know, right away. And then, his guard was like pretty hard for me to pass. So I like threw like one open palm strike to his face. And I kind of realized as soon as I did that, wait, we didn't talk about if we were going to hit each other, and maybe like there was like a gentleman's agreement that we weren't. So I was like, oh dude, I'm sorry. And then he was like, ah man, like it's whatever. And then it made me feel a little better, like, you know, I didn't feel like such a dick. And then after that, he smacked me so, it wasn't immediately after, but it was like a few minutes after. He smacked me so hard in the face, and I was like, yeah, that's what I get, like, for not like you're not confirming with him, but like I deserve that. So he smacked me super, super hard, and my ears were like ringing so bad. I went from like hearing Boogie's, you know, like instructions to like just my ear ringing and instantly not hearing anything. And I think I eventually did kind of like work past the guard and stuff. And as soon as I got past, I realized how tired I was. And I was thinking like, okay, if I'm really tired, like being on top, I think he's probably just as tired on bottom. And kind of just decided to like, just like, you know, play the like the kind of like the long game, you know, as opposed to like just like I was trying to just sub him initially, you know, like as quick as possible. And then it was like, okay, that's not going to work. I'm just going to have to kind of outlast him. And then, you know, later in the match, I got to the back and like I had it for like 2 minutes and I couldn't finish. And that just happens to be like the length of time that you get to, you know, per EBI overtime. So I was a little bit not confident that I would, you know, get the finish. But then I think one thing that he had to do in overtime that he didn't have to do in regulation was like he had to kind of like start the escape a lot quicker, you know, or like put pressure on himself to get the escape. So as soon as he did that, he opened himself up a little bit more for the choke. But I thought it was really lucky that I got to choose whether I wanted offense or defense first, because in all the matches I've had with Jordan and all the training that I've done with Jordan, I've never escaped his back control ever. And we've probably rolled through competition and like rolling in the gym. We've probably rolled like, you know, 50 plus times, never ever escaped his back control. So I was saying like, yeah, offense first for sure. Had that not happened, I probably would have got a lot more tired. He probably would have rode me out or tapped me within the 2 minutes. So it was just lucky that I got choice, you know. But yeah, that was a good match, and you know, I was happy to see him make it to the finals and stuff. I mean, you were the one that pointed out to me a long time ago, and I still remember this, and I think about it often. Like, it's not just about the guy who wins the tournament. It's about the standouts, you know. And like, you don't have to be the guy who wins it every single time, but you do want to strive to be a person who stands out, win or lose, you know. And I think that he did that. You know, I think that he really stood out as like a, you know, like a dangerous and exciting guy, despite not taking the whole thing, you know.
Yeah, I mean, competing's hard in the sense that 16 guys all enter with the same goal for one tournament. And it always seems like that's going to be the way that it works. But, you know, things come up and it can be a very difficult thing if you don't win. You feel like, oh, I didn't achieve what I set out to do, which obviously everybody wants to go out there and win. The problem is sometimes they just don't see what they did that's so epic or good that it almost feels terrible. So that's the part that I try to be there for the athlete to point out, because again, sometimes they don't know it until maybe a week or two afterwards and they go, oh shit, people really like that. So, as somebody who watches a lot, it's usually my perspective. Keith, we're a little short on time, but I did want to ask you, when that did happen and it finally registered, what went through your mind when you ended up realizing that you had won?
You know, just like relief, honestly. Like, I was very, very happy, you know, but like really just like, I, you know, rarely get to like end the year on a good note and like kind of feel just like relaxed, you know, because like oftentimes even if I win or lose, I still have like more competitions and I have more training that I have to get through, and like it's just exhausting, you know, and like on top of all the training that you did for that event, you know, so like winning this and then knowing that I was just gonna chill. I'm just chilling. Like I'm just gonna enjoy time with my family, my friends. enjoy training again and like take some time off. I just felt so relieved and so happy that like I could finally just chill and enjoy life. And then seeing Boogie was just like really cool because it was like, man, I like feel much more gratified when like I win for Boogie as opposed to just like just winning for yourself, right? So finally like getting to win one of those tournaments with Boogie in my corner. He corners me a lot for big events and I always lose. So finally him being able to like corner me in a good event and corner me to victory was cool, so felt really good about that. And yeah, man, it was mostly relief, but like a good amount of happiness too.
Well, the thing that I did want to make sure that we pointed out is that, there was some talk, I think, by Brandon, who rightfully brought up a lot of your accomplishments, and you've won a lot of stuff before. It's not the issue. This one's particularly interesting to a lot of the 10th Planet crew because you want to follow in those footsteps of those people who have come before you. And it is a very tough achievement to hit. But a lot of the times I feel like in your competitive career, you haven't been able to see it or, more importantly, enjoy it. And for me, I could see you enjoying it. And that was like, honestly, like the achievement was great. Don't get me wrong. But the fact that you could take a moment and appreciate your own work, to me, felt like the best gift. And I was so happy to see you live in the moment, enjoy it, get to talk to TJ DeSantis, who had no voice left over. But
that was funny.
But, it happened in exactly the way I would have thought it would. You're just like, oh, hey, nice to talk to you. And the guy's like, I can't talk, dude. I'm sorry. So it is very funny. But I just wanted to leave you with this, which is I want to give you the opportunity to thank those people who helped you, that you would like to give a shout out to, who helped you win this. And not only that, but have a great, great competitive year, sir. So floor is all yours.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I mean, there's so many people to thank. This is the hardest thing to do because there's so many people that help along the way. But man, I mean, just my coaches, teammates, friends, family, you've given me a lot of support over the years and you've kind of stuck through me like in like some pretty like where I've been like, not as, just like not as appreciative as I should be, and I appreciate you kind of always having, being understanding and like sticking through me and stuff. And you're a very good friend. I appreciate people like you and so many people in my life. Man, I'm finally at the point where I'm like, I can just be happy, win or lose. Like I'm very happy. I'm just very, very happy with life and grateful. And it wasn't always like that, like I'd win or lose and I'd still be unhappy all the time, but I'm finally at the point where like, I don't really care what happens, man. Like, I would have been just as happy if Laird or Jordan had won as if I had won, like I really do. I really do just kind of like enjoy the kind of the ups and downs and the journey and all that stuff. And, it's because I got so many cool people around me. I really value like my friends, my family, my team, everyone. So, I didn't name as many or too many specific names. I wish I could, but I don't want to leave anyone out. There's just so many people, like I said, just too many people to name. But yeah, like everyone's just been really, really supportive of me and got me to the point in my life where I'm finally like, content and just, grateful for everything and fine wherever life goes, So, yeah, man, we'll end on that. And I appreciate you having me on.
Well, Keith, it is a pleasure to see you, my friend. So happy, so proud of you. Like I said, it was a great way, like you mentioned, to end the year. And I know it's always fun to encapsulate those things, but I'm already looking forward to what you're doing next year. And there is something to say about consistency, is that you don't only just show up, but you do well. And I love the mentality that you're at right now, because I think having that mentality means that there's even better stuff that I'm sure that's going to come. So we can celebrate this one for now for what it is and get ready for the next thing. And that I'm very excited about.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man.
Not a problem. All right, ladies and gents, Keith Krikorian, good friend of the show. Couldn't be happier for him. I got to get out of here. I love you guys so much. Don't go anywhere. Subscribe to us. This is the easiest one I'm going to do. Subscribe or don't. And if you don't, I wish you coal for Christmas or something. I don't know. I don't wish bad things upon you. But I'll say this.
Grinch.
Shut up, Keith. I should have muted your fucking mic. That's what I should have done. Anyway, appreciate you. And as Freddie says, nice hoodie. Of course, always good to get our good friends, New Ground Jiu-Jitsu. That's where you can see me train a whole bunch of the time, which, by the way, you can see on these end credits. Much love to you guys. Subscribe to us. I love you. Bye.